Welcome to the Smart CEO Smart Chat. I am Kyra Hardwick, and I am thrilled to be here with you. Thanks for tuning in. We hope that this episode will be an incredible influence on the way that you do the work that you do every day. So whether you're a smart CEO, working from home, working from the office, simply navigating your life and family, whatever it is, today's the day you made a great decision to tune into our podcast and get this smart talk. So let's dig in.
Welcome back to yet another episode of the Smart CEO podcast. I am your host, Alina Conley, and I am also the program manager for the Smart CEO Capacity Builder cohort, as well as the senior director for coaching and people development at the Kyra Company. And I am joined today by one of our very own cohort members, Dr. Nelly Clotter Woods. She is the founder and CEO of NCW Grants and Associates. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And so let's just start by learning a little bit more about why you decided that you wanted to take the path of entrepreneurship versus the more traditional route.
It started out with my passion for serving underserved communities, underrepresented communities by my work with nonprofits through the years. And while I was in nonprofits, I saw that leadership was stressed, did not have the time to work on grants, which is one of the vehicles or the mechanism to sustain a nonprofit. And I researched, I asked around if independent consultants would help for grants or helping in any way. And I found that, yes, there is a way to assist nonprofit as an entrepreneur in sustaining their business. And that was grant writing and serving as a grant professional. And that's how I got into it back in 2018.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a huge opportunity. And we even saw with our cohort members, oftentimes grant writing, RFPs, all those things can feel so daunting, but there is a huge, massive opportunity. I actually had another podcast interview maybe 2 or 3 months ago with a young lady who has a grant writing business, and she was telling me that she has actually only fully funded her businesses with grants, and that just blew my mind. And so what do you feel is the opportunity out there right now for business owners who don't even realize that there is that level of funding out there through grants?
Oh, if I was one looking for grants as a for-profit specifically, I would look into what part of my business product has a social impact on it, because funders love to fund projects that impacts the community. And I would recommend looking at your internal products, your services, and look how your product or your services can best serve a community. And if you cannot research who can help you in that area, hire a grant consultant, hire a grant professional to help you. But start looking introspectively on how your product can help the greater good, if you will, because government can assist you in that, state level, local level, and even a national level can assist you.
Yeah. So prior to opening up your own business, what do you feel were some of the roles that prepared you to really take on the challenge of becoming a business owner, which we know has its benefits because it's unlimited success. The sky is the limit, but it also is like this roller coaster of emotions, and everything can feel up and down. So what were some things that you felt like prepared you for this next venture?
Oh, definitely networking.
Okay.
What helped me particularly was being a part of direct services in a nonprofit organization, not just one, but a few. And while I was a direct worker in a nonprofit setting, I would observe, I would ask questions. I can see firsthand leadership's pain points in preparing for grants. So I took note of that and I made sure that I came in with a solution. Hey, I can volunteer my service or I can volunteer what I know to help. And that really just lit the fire for me, if you will, ignited that passion to pursue that field. So networking, direct observation, just being a part of the community, volunteering my services, of course, learning the concepts of granting and grantsmanship and grant writing. So I took several courses, several workshops, and even obtain a master's degree in grant writing, evaluation, and researching. It's that investment in myself
Mhm.
that really helped along the way.
Wow, I didn't even know that you could get a master's in grant
Oh,
writing.
yes, you can.
Wow. So I noticed that you also have doctor in front of your name. So does that mean that you have a PhD in grant writing as well?
No, I don't have a PhD in grant writing, and please do not have a heart attack around me because I'm not that kind of doctor either. But I am a doctorate in philosophy, and that is in
Okay.
organizational management and leadership. That helps.
I think that what I hear from you is there's a love of learning there, right? And research we know is really big in what you're doing. But how did you cultivate these different pieces of your career, right? Did you wake up knowing, okay, like this is the path that I want to take? Or just for a new business owner that's trying to figure out, like, what is the blueprint for where I want to go? How did you piece together all of the different things that have made you successful?
That is an excellent question. I really have to say that it's part believing in yourself and part just confidence to do it, to say to yourself, hey, I went to school, I've earned these degrees or knowledge, or just putting your skills and your resources that you have internally and just saying, I'm going to apply it to something. And what I've mentioned earlier, what kept coming up are these pain points of leadership that I was fortunate to observe and witness
Yeah.
and say, hey, is there something that I can do as a problem solver, as a solution for you to help? And that just kept coming up.
Mhm.
Grantsmanship, something about grants. And it took that investment in me to learn up initially about what that world would look like. And then networking and relationship building helped a lot. I reached out to wonderful mentors that helped me along the way, groups like SmartCEO that helped me along the way. And yeah, it just all that investment in yourself and your time all fits together. It's just, it blends well together. And this is the product that comes out.
Yeah. That's wonderful. I know that you said that you typically work in the nonprofit space, but is there any niche type organization that you work with? Is it education based? Is it more government based? Like, what's your target client?
I am considered a generalist when it
Okay.
comes to grants and nonprofits. Nonprofits exist today to serve communities that are disadvantaged or low income for the most part, or underrepresented for the most part. So once I have that general understanding, or once one has that general understanding, you come in and you individualize your services to the nonprofit. And that's one way. Whether you are nonprofit, and I work with both nonprofit and for profits, but whether you're nonprofit or for profit, what helps with grants and grantsmanship is if you have an element of a social impact
Mm-hmm.
in your services or product. Social impact is offering services where whatever services or product you deliver is for the greater good For example, a woman in domestic violence no longer in a domestic violence situation because of your services, or an individual justice youth involved no longer part of that system because he or she is working or obtaining a college degree because of your services. Those are impacts that funders and philanthropists will really look at and invest in and want to be a partner with you. And my services is offered as a channel or a vehicle to make those connections.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's it.
So, is there any way to, and this is a question that
Oh, I like that.
I can never figure out how the balloons are popping up on my
I
screen.
love it.
It's
Whatever it
I'm
is. I think it's
ahead.
that computer saying, yeah, that's right. Say more.
This is a selfish question, but I'm always thinking, okay, how can I reverse engineer a grant that I find to build out something within my business, right? For example, sometimes you'll see like grants or funding for something that may be like technology based, for example. And you're like, okay, I don't currently offer this in the tech space, but maybe I can create an extension of my brand that's an app form or something like that. So, do you have any advice or strategy for how someone who is looking for funding but doesn't necessarily like perfectly align with grants that are out there to go and find money?
Oh, yes, that's an excellent question. And when a client comes and asks that questions, I've been asked that question before. The
Mm-hmm.
one thing I advise is look for partnerships. Is there an alignment with a current organization or an entrepreneur that's offering the services that you lack, or not lack, but complement each other? I would recommend a partnership agreement to get into to pitch for this grant. So an example like what you just given, if technology or the development of that technology is not truly your forte, but there's some element of that technology that you can both offer at the same time, go in this grant and to this funder as a partner. It's partnerships, and you all three can all be a partnership in this whole that product or that service that you're offering. Ultimately, the outcome or that goal that you're pitching for.
Yeah. Yeah, that's genius. And that actually it reminds me of almost something that we did for a grant for the Kyra company where there was a tech component and we didn't end up applying for it because we ran out of time, but that was our plan. We were like, okay, we can bring in this tech company that has like learning
Absolutely.
management system. So yeah, that's great advice. So that actually is a great segue into thinking about your experience with the cohort because we have these three pillars that we talk about all the time over the last several weeks, and one of them being collaboration, but then the other one is bankability. And then also we talk about supply chain readiness. Was there anything out of those pillars or even out of just some of the 6 sessions that really just grabbed a hold of you that you felt like, man, this is really like a light bulb moment for me?
Yeah. So I can say, first of all, it's no accident that our program, Smart CEO, highlights collaboration. Because when it comes to, and I'm just thinking on my fundraising, grantsmanship perspective, relationship building is top priority. Funders love to fund not only the cause that you're doing, but also your ability to collaborate with others and partnership with other communities to join forces and obtain that and reach for that target outcome and goals. So it was when Smart CEO came and presented that collaboration readiness piece of it, I was on top of it. I loved it. The other pillar I had really think about was the bankability, because like you said earlier, you met someone that funds her business solely through grants. And that's how I initially came thinking that is possible, which it still is. But if I'm thinking about advancing or scaling my business, Smart CEO helped to share that perspective of being bankability or bank able. That's really the piece that I absolutely loved that I had to think about and work through to incorporate in my business.
Yeah, that bankability piece. I think that for me, every time, and I think I've heard the installment of bankability and John Austin with his Bank Ready program, I've heard it many times, but every time I just think about the power of the relationship with the banker. And you talked about relationships, but we saw so many of your cohort members even realize like, I've been giving business to a certain bank for years, but I don't necessarily have a banker that knows me, that knows my family, knows my business up and down to the point where they could speak on my behalf when I'm not in the room. But then also having those very key numbers that tell the story even if I'm not in the room. And so I think every time I hear it, it speaks to the uniqueness of you all's particular cohort, because I think that what I like about this version of Smart CEO is we target growth stage businesses, right? So it's not that startup phase, it's not your basic training. It really is, okay, we're ready to enterprise, we're ready to scale. And so when you think about you being in like business purgatory right now, right? You're okay, I've seen success. I know I've got it. I have the confidence, like people want what I have, but I also don't want to work 20 hours a day. I want work-life balance. I also want to be able to enterprise, right? I want to be able to change lives by feeding other people's families, giving jobs. What does that look like for you? What is your vision for enterprising the company?
Oh, because of Smart CEO, that looks going ahead and building that relationship with a bank, not just one, but at least in the beginning, talk to a few banks in the community and build that relationship. There are banks right now that completely, at least for my purpose as a grassroots entrepreneur, there are banks out there that I can speak to on a high level and to one of a community lending bank. And so, because of Smart CEO, my first step is to go and talk to a few banks and see which ones aligns best with my business, my goal, just me personally, that can easily individualize. And like you said, individualize my profile, speak on my behalf, offer financial products and investment that I never thought about, and also teach me along the way on how I can best present my product to the said bank that I choose. So that's my first step. Is just going around and talking. That I would have never thought of without Smart CEO. Smart CEO have given me the tools on how to say it, the verbiage, on how best to go out and do it, the basic going into the bank so that I can be part of that discussion at the table. So that's it's not what you expected or what you had asked. What does that look like? But for me, where I'm at right now is to just get that going, to start that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Say that there's someone who is a year from now looking to apply in the next cohort. What advice would you give them?
Be open and do your work. Do your work and speak up. Talk about, don't be shy about your services. You're there for a reason. You have been selected because for a reason, and your cohorts wants to hear all about you. It's this very supportive group. So speak up and share your knowledge. That's it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that advice. You get out of it what you put in it. Thank you so much. This was very valuable information. I definitely added you to my personal Rolodex for when I find grants. I'm going to be like, Dr. Nelly, what's going on? But for those of you all who are tuning in, if you want to stay connected with Dr. Nelly and other smart CEOs like yourself, we encourage you to join our online community by visiting smartceos.com. We have a wonderful group on a Mighty Network platform that allows you to connect with business owners across the globe, as well as our strategic partners, like our presenting sponsor, JP Morgan. So thank you again, Dr. Nelly, for your participation in today's episode, but also for your participation in this year's cohort. And for those of you all listening, we will see you all on the other side. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Smart Chat. Smart CEOs, you are on your way. We hope this episode has been fantastic for you. We are excited that you were here. So here's the deal. Follow us on all of our social media, look up the Kyra Company, and join us on all of our private platforms. We invite you to join our private Facebook group at the Smart CEOs. Jump in, join the conversation, and learn more about what we can do every day to grow our business and grow our community. Thanks so much for joining us. We're excited that you were here. Once again, I'm Kyra Hardwick, and you know it. I was thrilled to bring the Smart Chat to you. Take care. Talk to you soon.